City, it was very, very different. I think the only thing that I truly remember standing out from all the skyscrapers was the Varsity. We all know the Varsity.
And the all gotten sick there once.
Yeah, late nights at the Varsity. But the city's changed quite a bit. It's become quite eclectic, and it's a great city. I've always loved being here. Lately, my experience has been a little bit different because in those days, when I was shooting with Spike, we shot at the AU Center at Morehouse and Morris Brown College. Yeah. And now we shoot oftentimes down at Trilith Studios down in Peachtree or near Peachtree City. It's also a great place to shoot.
Okay. A little bit of Atlanta. My dad would like me to ask you if you have ever eaten at Gus's Fried Chicken right here in the Peachtree Food Court.
I have not eaten at Gus's Fried Chicken in Atlanta. There is one also in Austin, Texas. I'm very jealous that they've stolen my name and they make chicken that's not as good as mine. The only chicken in the world for me is a chicken from Gus's Chicken from Los Pollos Hermanos. But I do hear that Gus's Chicken is quite good.
I was also wondering with Los Pollos Hermanos, so I went into this thinking that you were Spanish. Turns out you're Italian. Did you speak Spanish before getting the role?
Yes, I did. So I came to this country from Italy in 64, 63, 64 on a boat from Italy. And I started as a young actor on Broadway. I did many Broadway musicals. For those who don't know, I was a song and dance man from the time I was a child. And then I made a conscious decision to move into drama because I wanted to be on television, and more than that, I even wanted to make movies. And at that time, it was African Americans, black people were hard pressed to find roles. And so because my hair would do anything, I could lay it down straight, it's curly, it's nappy, it's all of those things, I decided that I would just become an actor, and that meant learning how to have a Spanish accent, learning the language so that I could go in and do scenes completely in Spanish. And at that time, we didn't have the John Leguizamos, we didn't have the David Labiosos, we didn't have all these Spanish actors who were actually making a living at their craft, so I was doing it. And once those guys came along to represent the heritage that they really were, I decided to move on and play other kind of characters and learn how to do that. So like part of what I do is to learn my craft, but learn also how to be versatile. And it's an analogy for life. You know, in life we do one thing. We've gone to school for one thing, we've educated ourselves. The expectation is that we'll have one career, but that is limiting in your own thought form. If you're able to take your thought form and allow yourself the idea that you are able to do many things in your life by putting in the time to learn what they are about, by educating yourself, you can have more than one career. And many times we don't expand ourselves in a way that will allow us to think along those lines. But when you think about it, we all have many interests. So why not pursue those interests and allow those interests to work for us in our life? It's because I go to a 9 to 5 and I spend many hours doing one thing, and when I finish doing that, I'm tired and I get up and I repeat. And I do the same thing every single day. But we're not meant to do the same thing every day. We're meant to expand our consciousness to be available to the idea that we can have inspiration in our life. And when you're inspired, you become driven, not to make just money, but to fulfill your earthly obligation and why you're here. So why not expand yourself to be all that you can be?
And on that positive note, can we have people lining up to do questions back there? I can barely see y'all if there's someone there.
How many people in this room? Wow, look at all these people. I love that you came out for me, and I'm in gratitude to be here. The reason I come to Comic-Cons is because I feel like I witness. If you become a witness in your own life, you can witness wonder, enchantment, and joy all around you. You can also witness all the negative things that impact you. But if you're able to decipher and discern the goodness and the positive feeling in life, you can see it all around you at a Comic-Con. Because people they're in their happy place. And that's a choice, believe it or not. It's a choice. So a long time ago, I used to say, oh, they won't let me do this. They won't let me get that role. That didn't happen for me. That became my story. When my story became, I can do anything, that I am powerful beyond measure, but I can achieve anything I put my mind and my imagination to, then my life changed. Then the they that kept coming up in my consciousness that told me I couldn't do that, I'm not able to, all of those negative thoughts, the they became me. And then I had to jump over me, right? The hoop was me. The wall between me and success was me. And then I had to think, oh, let me envision a different idea. Let me live a different story. So my story changed. Now, all the trauma I've had in my life, the hard, the difficult growing up, the divorce of my mother and father, all these things are still there. It's just they don't trigger me in a way to think that I can't achieve anything I put my heart, soul, and I dedicate my energy to. That will always be what brings me to success.
Hello, my fellow half Italian. I'm also half Italian. Porcelli.
Porcelli!
I had a question.
Porcelli.
What was that?
Piacere.
Yeah. I had a question about Kaleidoscope, and before I ask my question, I wanted to say that scene in the episode Pink where they do the big shootout was my cousin's house, and they destroyed it. But Netflix repaid them and did all the work, but I really like the show, and especially because it was my cousin's house. But my question to you is, what was the way you watched Kaleidoscope, because they're all out of order, and what's the best way to watch it?
You know, I can't tell you the best way. I really love doing that show, and there were episodes that were deeper for me than others. For me, the challenge was to look at the whole. When do we in our lives envision the whole? In my life, I'm doing a show like Breaking Bad or even The Boys. I'm receiving one episode at a time. And so I'll start an episode on the 6th day of shooting or the 5th day of shooting one episode, I'll get the next one that starts next week. With Kaleidoscope, I got all the episodes at one time. And because I was playing the lead in that show, I laid them all out so that I was able to see the whole of things, right? The bigger picture of things, because everything connected to another. I think I watched Orange, Green, Pink, and after that I forget the order, because you can watch it in any order, so it's a show that you can return to. But what I loved about it for me was that I had to take a 27-year journey. And that journey kind of went backward in time. So I had to put all the pieces together for myself so that in any given episode, pink, green, blue, red, orange, I had to know what informed that episode. So in life, it's like you have to try to remember experiences that happen to you so that you learn from them. And you have to remember as you get older, when you're in an experience that resembles another one that maybe wasn't so good, that you're gonna do something different this time than you did the last time. So I'm a real fan of Kaleidoscope. I'm so glad you saw it. I feel like so many people need to see it because it's a really wonderful story in itself. It's the story of family. It's the father and daughter story. And because I have 4 daughters, it became very important for me to figure out how to, so part of what I do in my work is give myself an assignment. And that assignment is to be vulnerable. It is also to be present, to be really directly present as to what I'm doing, and to allow that presence to affect my life. So I'm able to, as an actor, clean up my life through some of the characters I play. And because this particular character was a man who had to leave his daughter behind because he made a huge mistake in life and had to go to jail for a long time, and he comes out of jail and he has to decide, am I going to walk the straight and narrow, or am I going to go back to the life that I was good at? And he also has to try to figure out how to get his relationship back with the person he left behind, the daughter that he loved so much. So that means having to apologize, to figure out how to start a new relationship, and to figure out how to have her see the man he is now, not the man that left her behind. And so much of this is an analogy for our lives. We can change the way the course of our lives go in the future by looking back to the past and cleaning up some of the mistakes we may have made.
From Discord, Melisar and That's Just My Mom, they ask, what inspired your impeccable style of dress? And also, if you could cosplay anyone to wander around DragonCon, who would you dress up as?
Say the first question again?
What inspired your impeccable style of dress currently?
Oh, well, it was a very early memory of me going into my father's closet, because I liked that he had some items that were really special, and he liked to dress. He just couldn't afford to dress all the time. He was, his name was Giovanni, he was from Naples, Italy, and the Italians have the best style in the world. So I would go into his closet and I would just touch the fabrics. And it really impressed me because some were heavier wool, some were silk, all of them had a different texture, and I'm very tactile. And so the look and colors of things also impressed me. So I decided that I liked to dress. And when I was able to, for years I bought used clothing in New York. I was a poor actor. I'd go to thrift shops and I'd buy clothes. And of course, I wanted things that were new but couldn't afford them. And so I loved the style of the 40s. I would get things made in China when I had enough money, because it was cheaper to send a suit to China that was used and have it copied and made for me so it would fit better. So I've always been kind of a stylish person, because I feel like, who do you dress for, right? Do you dress for yourself, or do you dress for the world? And those are two different things. Do you dress, the saying is, dress to impress? Or do you dress because you feel good when you look a certain way? That's why I dress. Because I feel like it exemplifies a certain respect you have for yourself. It tells everyone about how you feel about in your own skin. And for years, I never felt comfortable in my own skin. I was young. Some days, I get up, even now, I don't feel comfortable in my own skin. And you want to do things that allow you to be happy, that make you feel good, because then you then generate that to the world. And so I dress for me because I love to dress.
Hi, so I was wondering, for lack of a better description, do you like being typecast? Just like in that, like I feel like there is a cultural idea of a Giancarlo Esposito villain that is like characters like Gus and like Stan Edgar, and I can see how that could feel limiting, or how that could feel really freeing and like being recognized. And I'm just curious how it feels to you.
You know, I don't feel like I'm typecast at all. I just think maybe you, or maybe some people, haven't seen all the other kinds of movies I've made. What are you laughing at? I mean, so yes, I became iconic from playing a couple of characters that were very intense and maybe were villainous. That word villain is an interesting thing to me. But is bugging out from Do the Right Thing a villain?
No!
I don't know if anyone has seen Stargirl, which I think is a wonderful movie where I play a really good guy. I play a paleontologist teacher in that. I don't know if you've seen Unpregnant Road Trip. I play a kind of edgy guy who helps the girls get to where they're going. I could go on and on and on, but you know that I've been exceptional. Not that I wasn't exceptional in those other movies I just mentioned, but I've been extremely exceptional in playing Gustavo Fring, Stan Edgar, who I think is very different than Gustavo, Moff Gideon. So you know me from that. You know, you have something I want. You know, or you are not a god. You are simply bad product. So in my mind, I'm not typecast. I've made a decision to play certain heavy characters because they're fun. I'm having a blast, so why not? And wait till you see, Captain America 4. Brave New World. So eventually, when you're good at something, you get a chance to expand on that. And that is a character who, albeit is villainous, he is different than any character I've ever played. He's more physical. He is a guy who knows how to get it done within that world. And I think you're going to love that film.
This one is from Utu. If all of the characters that you have played got together to play poker, how do you think it would go? And who do you think would be the winner of the night?
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind that Gustavo would be the winner. Gustavo Fring is a badass. And he just thinks ahead of everyone. All of my characters have certain traits. You know, and certain traits that I relate to and love, that I kind of expanded on and created within the character between the lines. That's my job. You know, my job is to look at the character at face value, learn the lines, figure out all the traits that have been afforded the character by the writers, and then think of new ones. Think of how to act without using the words that I was given. So it's behavior, right? Many of us have certain behaviors that we don't even know we have, that we just do, right? And so when you think about it, that is what excites me about what I do. It gives me an opportunity to play in between the words, to play and to have you look at me and wonder what I'm thinking, because there's always a thought in my head, and that thought is not what's my next line. That thought is in between the lines. And so that to me is the special happy place of what I do. I complicate characters and layer them so that they can become interesting to you. So you see things that you don't hear through the words. And that to me is why I love what I do, because it's more than just showing up and saying the words. Equally so, every character I play has a different physicality, which is why I'm so excited about you seeing Brave New World, because the physicality of that character I've never played or showed you before. And so that takes not only allowing yourself to think with your body. Acting is not just saying words. Acting to me is physical. It's creating and embodying the character not only through his intellect, but also through his soul and his spirit, which also creates and exemplifies how he moves. And that is very important to me as well.
Were you trained in a particular sort of acting school, or do you have a particular sort of...
I went to, people would say I went to a bunch of different acting schools, and some were Stanislavski oriented, others were, which is kind of the method orientation. Others came out of just David Mamet is all about repetition. It's not putting any emotion into the words. It's just saying the line over and over again until you can really feel that it connects with you and it lands. It's called practical aesthetics. I'm a member of the Atlantic Theater Company. I like their style, but I don't do that style because I'm trying to elicit an emotion from you. And if I'm completely flat and dry, I don't know if I'm very animated, if you haven't already guessed and seen it. But that also comes from my roots. I gesticulate, I'm Italian, right? So when I act, I tie my hands behind my back because that's also an exercise. So communication is what I do. I'm a communicator, I'm a storyteller. And we all are, as human beings. I don't care what you do, you are communicating something. Through your physicality, through your voice, through your word, through your spirit, through your eyes. It's all communication. And so when you learn to communicate with clarity, you become a much better human being because you're not then masking your feelings. Then I take it all backwards. And I decide I'm not going to show you anything of what I feel. You're going to have to figure it out, which is awkward and uncomfortable for us as human beings. That's how I become menacing and scary, right? You're not getting the tell of what you need. You can't read someone. Well, that's my job too, to scare the shit out of you.